important day today. If you notice, we are all wearing orange or something orange. That is because it is Wear Orange Day to fight for a future without gun violence. And unfortunately, there has been a lot more gun violence across the country over just the past few days. In Tulsa, 4 people were killed when a man opened fire in a medical office. The gunman targeted his back surgeon and killed 3 others before killing himself. In Iowa, a man shot and killed 2 women in the parking lot of a church before turning the gun on himself. And unfortunately, those are just a couple of examples. There's many more, many more. Well, last night, the president called for a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. He also called for Congress to act on the mental health crisis. Now, some states are already taking action. In New York, they voted yesterday to ban anyone under the age of 21 from buying or even possessing semi-automatic rifles. However, in Florida, the governor vetoed a planned practice facility for the Tampa Bay Rays after the team spoke out calling for donations for a gun control group. Tori, what do you think about all the recent news, the action or inaction?
Yeah, sometimes I feel like Biden is doing his best, but he's sort of speaking into the wind. I know there's a bipartisan group of people that got together and tried through Zoom to make something happen. They do say they might be doing some universal background checks. But then one senator brought up guns and showed his own guns. Another representative said, I use AR-15s to shoot my raccoons so they don't go to my chickens. So I really don't know how much progress we're making. I'm proud that we're wearing orange. Do I wish sometimes that our country just had a fully different group of politicians that saw it a completely different way? Yeah, I do. And I hope that the Parkland-aged kids somehow run for president and for politics so that we get them in our government. At this point, we're acting crazy. We do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. That's insanity, excuse me.
Yeah, I think I agree with what you're saying, but unfortunately, especially when there's so much money to be made, for every Parkland survivor who is stepping up, there's going to be someone who has a legacy plan to keep money in their families. This is about money. And until we find another way to combat people getting rich off of sticking together, because we know one thing that money can do is bond people. Like, we all rise up together, but we don't necessarily all fall together, which goes back to my point yesterday. If we start segmenting out these groups between the manufacturers, between the lobbyists, between the politicians, between the NRA, if you go after one, they're going to have to make a decision. If one person starts bleeding financially, they're going to have to make a decision if they're all still in this together.
Well, they're going to have to watch out, because I can't tell you how inspired I am going to my first Moms Demand Action meeting, which is in part with Everytown. So it's the same organization. And let me tell you, that room was crowded with people energized, hopeful, and ready to get stuff done. And apparently this last month has been the largest number of new volunteers than ever. And there is hope out there. There is change already happening. We've had some recent bills passed here in Colorado. So things that can curb gun violence right away, yes, increasing that age limit, right, from 18 to 21, waiting periods, red flag laws, which we have here in Colorado, but unfortunately some of our neighboring states don't. So there are things we can do right now that can curb those gun violence deaths. Will they eliminate them completely? No, but we are making steps. And I don't want anybody out there to feel hopeless and helpless, because let me tell you, there are millions of people fighting back the NRA, and there is millions of donations going into Everytown right now. So the NRA is going to have a lot of angry moms and dads and civilians out there ready for change. So I'm energized, and I think that finally the straw has broken the camel's back, so to speak. Al, there is a new poll out there, though, that shows, as a former teacher, okay, Al used to teach, that there's a slight majority of Americans think that arming teachers is the answer. The poll asked both Democrats and Republicans about it, and 51% said that they supported the idea and believe schools would be safer if teachers were given the option to carry a firearm. As a former teacher, how do you feel about this personally, and how do you feel about this generally, if it's a good solution?
I mean, the amount of selfishness is staggering. I'm really glad that we can cross the aisle when it's time to decide somebody else should do something. especially when these are also the same people that we don't want to pay.
Yeah,
Remember that?
right.
And they're not allowed to say certain things at work, otherwise they'll be sued. So, okay, so now you're a teacher, Erica, but here's what you also need to do. You need to work with no funding. You need to work in a school system where you have zero backup. If you say anything related to any type of sexuality, you will be sued. And you also need to figure some time in your weekend, Erica and Tori, to do some tactical training, you know? So I'm sure you'll be reimbursed for that. But yes, we want our teachers in all camo. They should be able to do just some basic shooting drills, because do you guys understand how hard it is to just hit a target at a target? What now? Let's throw a moving target and also other 400 tiny little moving targets. You have been in continuing education, so you should be well suited for that situation. So with that in mind, I think we're all set. And the amount of sarcasm with what I just said is enough to kill a horse. I am so embarrassed for even the suggestion. It is insulting to our teachers. And
the majority
you know,
of them
it
do
just
not want to.
That question, Sam, lets me know we're not ready to have this discussion as a country. So we're done.
If that's your
We're done.
solution, then I know you're not really ready. And as you said, majority of them want gun control. They don't want to be holding the guns themselves. And also, more guns equals more deaths. That is a scientifically proven fact that Harvard Injury Control has put out there. So imagine now you're a cop going in, and now there's 2 guns, and there's crossfire. I can't imagine this is a good idea.
We've already seen a situation where a good Samaritan had disarmed somebody that was trying to commit a mass shooting, and they had the gun, and the cops didn't know what happened. They rolled up and shot
him.
them.
Yep. Right.
Because no one knows in these everybody's so used to watching movies.
Right.
So they think, oh, that's the good guy, and he gets the gun, does a barrel roll, and shoots over. Like, people don't know what's going on.
That's right.
We couldn't figure out what's happening with the Chris Rock smack for like 5 hours.
And not to mention, you know, what are you going to do against an AR-15 or assault
Nothing.
rifle or somebody with armor on? And I also think, too, to your point, Tori, I want it to be crystal clear that law enforcement, to all the people out there that back the blue, law enforcement is against this, because they've seen far too many times, not only law enforcement, but also school resource officers and school safety officers have seen far too many times, knowing the statistics, that the closer proximity a gun is to a child, the higher likelihood that something
bad will happen.
Exactly. So they are against arming teachers as well.
Wow.
Erica?
No, you said against an AR-15, we don't know what would happen. What would happen is people who actually are supposed to protect and serve and have guns wait 90 minutes while children get shot.
Right.
We know. Right. So it's not a question.